So, Mama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nivase Sasanyavadi Pashyati Desatarane Om Agyanatiminandasya Jana Jana Salakaya Saksas Militanjena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Caitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Sa Pandantikam Vansakalpa Tubhyascha Kripasindu Bhayibhasa Patitanam Papanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So all the devotees had returned from Bengal. Again, this is after Mahaprabhu had just come back from Vrindavan. So when the devotees heard that Mahaprabhu had just returned from Vrindavan, they immediately came from Bengal. And of course the devotees from Orissa were already in Jagannath Puri. So they stayed for 4 months. And then they returned to their homes in Bengal. But Rupa Goswami stayed in Jagannath Puri. And he stayed for a year. And then Ekadina, Rupa Korena Natika Likana. So one day, as Rupa Goswami was writing his drama, Achambite Mahaprabhu Hoila Agamana. So Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly appeared. All of a sudden, Achambite. Is there a Hindi word like that? Achambite, something.
Yeah, indeed.
As soon as Haridas Thakur and Rupa Goswami saw the Lord coming, they both stood up and then fell down to offer him their respectful obeisances. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them both and then sat down. It's interesting how the etiquette is, because they were sitting, Rupa was writing, Haridas was chanting, so it would have been easier if they just offered their obeisances. But the etiquette is easy. They stood up first and then they offered their obeisances. Dandavat Hoila. Uti, they stood up. And then Dandavat Hoila. The Lord inquired of Rupa Goswami, "What kind of book are you writing?" He held up a palm leaf. Rupa Goswami held up a palm leaf. That was a page of the manuscript. And when he saw the fine handwriting, when Mahaprabhu saw the fine handwriting, his mind was very pleased. The Lord praised the writing by saying, Prito hoy korena Prabhu aksharastute. Yena mukuttara panti. He said, the handwriting of Rupa Goswami is just like rows of pearls. It's very beautiful. So while reading the manuscript, because he asked Rupa Goswami, what are you writing? And he held it up. Mahaprabhu took it, and first comment was on his handwriting. So what does it take to write very carefully? You have to be very much sattva-gun. You can't be... But for it to be beautiful, your mind has to be peaceful, and you have to be in sattva-gun. So there's a hint in there that it's required to be able to write well, especially compose things in your mind. You have to be so peaceful inside, because the mind has to be calm and not distracted. And that's the primary characteristic of a mind in Kali Yuga, upadruta. It is always disturbed by so many different things. And then we get a cure to be able to write, and I can't write like Rupa Goswami, so my cure is that I get a computer, and that makes the mind even more disturbed. But you can write, but it doesn't bring for a peaceful existence. So Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu saw a verse on that page, and as soon as he saw it, Prem Avishta Hoila, when he saw that sloka, his prem filled him. He was overwhelmed by ecstatic love. And the verse was in glorification of the holy names. Tunde tundavini ratim vitanute tundavali labdate karnako dakandambani gatayate kanabhudhya spriham teta pragana sangani vijayate savendriyanam kutim no jane janita kiat bir amritai krishneti vana dvayi. I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. When that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. So this, Prabhupada points out in the purport that this verse is in Vidagnamadava. Now, who remembers anything from Rupa Goswami's description of the holy name?
When we take us in our mouth.
Say again?
When we take us in our ear, we want many years to hear the holy name.
I'm going to read it again. And then I'll ask the same question again. I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. What do you remember from that? That's easy.
How many syllables?
Huh?
How much nectar?
Yeah, I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. Second line. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. It's alive, it's dancing. We then desire many, many mouths. And the result of having the holy name dance within the mouth, then we want many mouths. So what does that mean? That one mouth isn't sufficient to bring so much pleasure. You want more and more and more. And when that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. So mouth, ears, and so much nectar. And then, when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, so first it goes in the mouth and then the ear too, not only saying it, but also hearing it. And not only hearing it, also pronouncing it. And then it has a great effect. And then it goes into the heart, from the mouth to the ear, through the heart. And then when it dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind. So in Sanskrit, Teta Prangana. Teta means the mind, the heart, the consciousness. When the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind. So when it's alive in the consciousness, in the Teta, then it conquers the whole mind. What does that mean? It controls the whole mind. It takes it over. Just like when an army conquers a city, it takes over the city. So the holy name takes over the whole mind, the whole consciousness. And thereby all the senses become inert. So one is completely absorbed internally. The senses no longer act externally. They're inert. Because of the senses are the gateways to the outside world. Because we're a soul, and we're in a material body. And how do we interact with the outside world? Where we can't, just the soul in a material body, through a material mind, it needs the senses to interact. So that senses are called gates also, because they're the gate between the internal life and the external world. Because if we have to interact with the external world, how could we couldn't move even. And without the eyes, we would bump into the walls or whatever, without the ears, without the mouth, etc. So all the senses, when the holy name fully awakens and actually dances in the heart, the consciousness becomes conquered and the senses become inert. They no longer act. One is so absorbed internally. What do you think?
This is a matter of experience. Unless one experiences, one can speak. But it's interesting.
Yeah, to see the effect, to hear about the effect. Now this verse actually comes from another verse, but I don't have easy access in Pritu Maharaj. In that book, probably, in that book I was showing you, The Unveiling of Lotus Meat, we could probably find it in the 4th canto. Pritu Maharaj said something quite similar, and Rupa Goswami, it seemed to me, he adopted it from that. But how wonderful. So if someone asks, how was your chanting this morning? Just imagine if you could answer like that. That I was chanting in the holy name. I was chanting it in my mouth, and I just wish I had millions of mouths. And I was chanting, and when I was hearing the holy name with my ears, it was causing me so much happiness. That I had millions of ears, I wished. And then, by the action of the hearing, the speaking, hearing the holy name, it danced in my heart. And then I became completely unaware of the outside world. It took over my mind. Wow. So when Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu chanted this verse, Haridas Thakur, upon hearing this vibration, he became jubilant. And ulas, he became just overwhelmed by happiness. He became jubilant. And he began to dance while praising its meaning. And then Kaviraj Goswami comments. Krishna namera mahima sastra sadhu mukhe jane namera madhuri aiche kahan nahi suni. One has to learn about the beauty and transcendental position of the holy name of the Lord by hearing the revealed scriptures from the mouth of devotees. Nowhere else can we hear the sweetness of the Lord's holy name. So only someone, as you said, who's experiencing this can actually describe this, because if I say something about the holy names, it won't have the potency, because it won't have it won't be coming from my direct experience. But with Rupa Goswami, it has so much beauty. First of all, it's beautiful, the way he's described it. Because you can just say the holy names are so wonderful. You can just say that, but it doesn't have the poetic beauty. So everything, like, it was coming out of Rupa Goswami's pen with beauty. His handwriting was beautiful, the words were beautiful, the concept was beautiful, the expression of the concept was beautiful, and the effect of all that was beautiful, so much that when Haridas heard it, who was the Acharya of the holy names, he began to dance while praising its meaning. This is wonderful, he thought. So he was the Namacharya Haridas Thakur. But just imagine if he had some envy in his heart, and this point comes out soon, then he would have said, oh, how nice, but inside he was thinking, wait a second, I'm the Acharya of the holy names. Well, this is mine, and he would have said, that's not bad. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, you really tried nicely. But Haridas was not in that mood at all, because you can't chant the holy names like Haridas Thakur chants the holy names and have envy in your heart, because everything, he's so pure and so he was so humble. So humble means non-envious. So here's Prabhupada's purport. It is said in the Padma Purana, Atak Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Grahim Indriyai. Chanting and hearing of the transcendental name of the Lord cannot be performed by the ordinary senses. The transcendental vibration of the Lord's holy name is completely spiritual. Thus it must be received from spiritual sources and must be chanted after having been heard from a spiritual master. One who hears the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra must receive it from the spiritual master by oral reception through the ear. Srila Sanatana Goswami has forbidden us to hear the holy name of Krishna chanted by non-Vaishnavas, such as professional actors and singers, for it will have no effect. It is like the milk touched by the lips of a serpent, as stated in the Padma Purana, Vaishnava Mukad Girna Putam Harikatamritam Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sapochistam Yatapaya. As far as possible, therefore, the devotees in the Krishna consciousness movement gather to chant the holy names of Krishna in public, so that both the chanters and the listeners may benefit. What do you think of this? So it says here's one thing, must receive it from the spiritual master, but most of the devotees, when they first start chanting, they haven't heard it from their spiritual master. They have their beads and everything, and they just start chanting. So I think, as far as I understand, in previous times, perhaps the devotees wouldn't even chant the Mahamantra until they took initiation and given beads.
But you think, will it work?
What?
Harina?
You mean if it's not heard from? Well, it depends who they hear it from. If they hear it from the devotees, it seems like it'll work.
Only.
Huh?
Only?
So that's what I'm saying. It's an interesting topic because there was one, when Prabhupada started chanting at 26 2nd Avenue, there was a rock and roll group who were very, they used to like intoxicants very much. And they made a whole record. And one whole side of the record was Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So on one hand, it was wonderful that everyone was chanting, so many people were chanting. But on the other hand, Prabhupada said it has to be heard to have the actual effect. It has to be heard from the lips of a pure devotee. So one point in that is, what is the actual effect? The actual effect is prema bhakti. So maybe there'll be some benefit because there's chanting unconsciously, even not meaning the holy name. This is described later in the 3rd chapter. And also in Ajamil, that's what I was thinking. That even if you chant without understanding the meaning, and even if the syllables are separated of the holy names, it still has effect. But that's namabhas, but it won't give the actual result. And then there's the professional actors and singers. So interesting, isn't it? What do you think?
I feel there are a couple of points. Like one side we think that we see that how Harinam, of course the first thing is that how Harinam works, what's its ways to work and how it affects on the heart. And we say it's a Harinam, the moment is of Harinam Sankirtan. So we are chanting and we're shouting and we're making others listen. So it's working, on what degree it is working at that stage.
But it's working to some degree, but but probably not Premanam.
Yeah, and of course Premanam. And second thing, if we talk about Premanam, like Prema Bhakti, that for Prema Bhakti, is it sufficient to just hear it from the Shuddha, from a pure devotee, or like I have to be in that stage also?
Yes.
If I chanted. Like,
But well, that's the point. That if you chant, if you hear it from the right source, and then you chant it in the proper way, they both have to be there.
So it's not only so, but this verse says that it's only like kind of you hear it.
No, it did. But the rest comes later.
Okay.
That one has to chant it properly.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, is receiving it, and then what you do with it when you receive it is something quite different. So there's so many instructions, but everything isn't given at once on every point. So there's so many instructions on how to chant the holy names properly and without offenses, etc.
Was I was hearing a class on this, and one of the Gaudiya Vaishnava, he gave a scripture on it. He gave a very nice example of it. He said that it's like you're trying to go from Vrindavan or from Mathura to Delhi, and you reach on station. You didn't took ticket, but you went and you just go inside and sit on the train. So this is Harinam. It will take you, but you didn't took the ticket. So there are chances that TT may come and just ask you to go down and something. But at the same time, if you receive it from the proper source, so you buy a ticket, now you are confirmed you will reach.
Well, because you've done it properly and you get the proper guidance. And that's also, there's more details, how to chant, in what mood. Also, obviously, very important, Mahaprabhu says, Trinadapi Sunitena. And the instruction is to not only chant, but Kirtanaya Sadahari, to always chant. Because if one is chanting and sometimes, and then the mind is planning improper activities the rest of the time, then of course you'll be taking one step forward, half step back, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. One doesn't get anywhere. So how to chant the holy names, Mahaprabhu explains very carefully in Siksastakam. And I'll be speaking about this at the Harinam retreat, Krishna willing, is that what to do and what not to do is also described by Mahaprabhu in the Siksastakam. So if you want to get the result, you have to adopt a particular mood. Nadanam, nasandarim, kavitam va jagadisa kamani. I don't want these things. What do I want? I just want to be able to be Adam at your lotus feet, servant. This is what I want. So to chant in the mood of service. So the point I wanted to make is this: there's a lot of instructions that one won't get if just chants one listening to the rock and roll singers or the movie singers chanting. There's that famous, when the devotees first came to India, that movie, I can't remember the name, but remember that Damaradam. And sometimes Prabhupada would have different moods on these things. So sometimes newspaper articles, they would say, Hare Krishna is bad. And Prabhupada look at that and say, them saying Hare Krishna is bad is good. Because so many people will hear Hare Krishna. But other times he would say, don't hear it from the lips of someone who's not a devotee. So in different contexts, he would say different things. But it seems to me the main point is that if you just hear it, there's no question of prema bhakti entering your mind. Also in the yoga world nowadays, not so much in India maybe, but even in Vrindavan, Mayavadis will chant Hare Krishna, and they're certainly not going to get the result of Prema Bhakti because they don't want the result of Prema Bhakti. And in the West, in the yoga world, where everyone, kirtan is very, very popular. But yet, and they chant and dance, and it's wonderful, but their concept is different. Their concept is liberation, basically. And Janmini Janmanishvare, they don't have that concept. So it's very important to have proper desires when we chant, when we perform devotional service. So it's such an interesting question what to ask ourselves privately, well, what do you want? And then I always say, after you answer the question, give the correct answer, because everyone knows what the correct answer is. Then you ask yourself, okay, no one's listening. What do you really want? What's really in your mind? What do you really want in your life? So that type of honesty is also, introspection is also important. Because unless we're conscious of what's going on in our own minds, how could we separate the weeds, the upasakagan, the weeds from the actual bhakti lata? And then when you notice that I have this weed, that I have labha puja pratistadi jata upasakagan, when you notice that you have these other desires, then what do you do with these weeds? Do you notice them? Do you keep watering them subtly? Or do you, no, Krishna protect me, pull them out? Any comments on this?
I wanted to ask about, you said that
But a little louder.
that the holy name only come to the mouth of a pure devotee.
No, I didn't say it only. Well, yes, the holy name won't descend. Well, that's a different point that we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the syllables can be there.
Yeah, that is my
But the actual full holy name, Krishna, one has to chant with prema, and then Krishna will manifest himself. This is described in the prayers to the personified Vedas.
My question is when it said that the mercy of the spiritual master can come in different way of the pure devotee come, like he just have to look at you, is one way, the other one he prays for you, and the other one he gives you instructions. So can the holy name come of the spiritual master or a pure devotee also can come in just another way? It's just verbally that he gives you without saying anything in the heart.
What? You're talking about the spirit, your spiritual master gives you the holy name without saying anything, or the holy name comes in?
I ask if this is possible.
What exactly?
Chaitaguru.
It's also said when the spiritual master prays for you for something. So what is when there is no chance to hear the holy name from the spiritual master, but
that's called initiation. The Harinam initiation, when you do hear the holy names from
so is it
spiritual
possible
master.
to get the holy name even without hearing the holy name?
Well, some people have started chanting Hare Krishna just by reading Prabhupada's books. I know that. So many people.
Yes.
So they're in touch with Prabhupada. It's kirtan through his books. This is kirtan means glorification. So they get that. But yet, association, and this is the standard practice they're talking about. So can Krishna manifest the holy names from within your heart without having seen any devotees or read any books?
Yes.
Well, he can do whatever he wants, but it's not quite likely. That's not the standard practice. Usually the standard practice is he's going to reciprocate with your desire. So this, I don't know if we read it, but it comes out, it's there, that if you have a sincere desire to find the truth or some or or to serve God or something. So Krishna's going to reciprocate with that desire, and he's going to put you in touch with devotees who will help you on the path. Usually he won't. You could make up a situation like you're on an island and there's no other people on the island, and you're praying, I want to just serve God. Can Krishna, if he so desires, just somehow manifest to you or something? He can do what he wants. Like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur manifested to Prabhupada in dreams to tell him to take sannyas. So yeah, he can do what he wants, but that's not the standard way. And if we talk too much about the exceptional way, people will think the exceptional way is the standard and not take the standard way when they have the opportunity to take the standard way, because everyone thinks they're exceptional, basically. And why doesn't Krishna come to me and reveal to me in my heart everything? People tend to think funny things like that. When Krishna provides standard ways, and we should take the standard ways. And then if Krishna wants to do something exceptional, he'll certainly do it. But what we do know is that if our part in it is to be sincere, and let Krishna do his part, but our part is to be sincere and to try our best and take advantage of what Krishna does give us. What do you think?
I was thinking on the Eskimos.
Huh?
I was thinking on the Eskimos and the Inuits. You know,
Why are you going to preach to the Eskimos? It's too cold though, right?
Because, you know, what is some people who never have a chance really to get in association touch, and this is still possible. And I remember actually...
But the devotees nowadays, they're so extreme in their book distribution. They'll go everywhere if they could.
I remember,
At least it used to be like that.
I remember a story, it's called, there was one...
Save the Eskimos, Madhavananda. Go out there, get a dog sled, you fill it with books.
Because there was one, he was called Bruder Klaus, Brother Klaus, and he was from the Switzerland. And he was praying so intensely, and it was around in the 15th century when Mahaprabhu was appearing in India, and he was praying so intensely to see God. And he saw two, and one was dressed in blue, and one was dressed in yellow color. And he didn't have any idea who is it, and he had done.
Okay, just assume simply that this is a simple true story.
He wrote it down.
Right, but like so many people can write things down.
Oh.
But just accepting that it's true. So who is so sincere? Yeah. And now you can just Google it and you can get the answers. Yeah, Krishna reciprocates with our sincere desires. But then when he does reciprocate, then we have to act and take his gift when he offers it. Not have to, but that's the first test. I remember when I used to consider myself a sincere seeker of the truth. So when you're seeking, you want the truth, you feel yourself a little better than everyone else. There's a tendency. But seeking is one thing, and then when it comes to you, then you have to give up the identity as a seeker and then become a practitioner, and that's a big test. Because there's so much pleasure being a seeker, This one I like, this I don't like, so I like this part of this, I like that. You feel yourself above everything. But then when you actually come across something that's true and bona fide, then that's a big test. As I said, then you have to give up. Are you willing to give up your false identity as a seeker, which served to some degree for some time, and now become a practitioner, a servant, and subordinate your wild mind? What do you think?
It's very simple. It's not so complicated.
It's simple for those who are so good-hearted.
No, I'm not,
I know you're not, but I'm just saying it.
because I'm hailing from a good-hearted person. So it's simple.
No. What I'm saying is that I was just thinking that
It's very simple that what we want, that we get.
Krishna yayatamam papadinte. And this is so mysterious in one sense. If we're dealing with God, who will give you what you want.
Like you told yesterday, no? That one person was asking Lord to help. Lord said, he said, is there some other person to help?
Yes, anyone else. But also, how do you deal with the Supreme Lord, who's reciprocating with your desires? But what is he really like? It's so tricky. He's tricky. He'll keep himself hidden. Oh, you want this? Okay. You want that? Okay. What else do you want? Okay. You want a kingdom greater than Lord Brahma's kingdom? Okay. Anything else? But who will say, when I first started chanting, Rupanuga Prabhu, who very kindly was preaching at the university, disciple of Srila Prabhupada, very early disciple. So he used to say something that is so funny. He used to say, one day, very sincerely, he would say this, one day after you've been chanting a long time, Krishna will come to you and say, I am like this. And he would always make that same gesture. Do you ever? I am like this. And then he would say, and then he said, and he will ask you, what do you want? I'll give you anything you want. And he said, when he asks you that, don't ask him for anything. Just say, I want to be your servant. That's all I want. He used to tell us this. And actually, with Prahlad Maharaj, when the Sringadeva asked him, what do you want? I'll give you anything you want. And Prahlad said, please don't tempt me in this way. And he said, I'm not a banya. I'm not doing business with you. I'm your servant. This is just natural for me. But then later on he said, anyway, if you want to do something, then please save my father. So there was no selfishness. What do you think, Mataji?
Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj is so great. His father told him so many ways. And then also he's asking Lord Nrsimhadev to protect him.
What do you think?
I was thinking about my experience with my Guru Maharaj. When I have some problem or something, I come to him and then everything is gone. There's no problem anymore. Nothing, I'm here. So I can imagine how it's when Krishna shows up and you don't want anything anymore.
Don't
You just
want to say.
Yeah, that's what happened with Dhruva Maharaj. When the Lord came before him, Hare Krishna Bhajri Hari. When the Lord came before him, he felt so foolish because he had wanted something, like glass. He compared it to glass, and you're the diamond. You're the real jewel. He felt so foolish, and he said, "Now I don't want." And then he said, "But you're going to get it anyway, whether you want it or not anymore." And he benedicted him so he would have the kingdom greater than his Lord Brahma's kingdom, his great-grandfather's kingdom. And Dhruva Maharaj was just, felt bad. Tamra Prabhu, Hare Krishna. What do you think?
Yeah, we should follow the instruction of pure devotees and the scriptures. The good instructions they have given.
Yeah.
No kind of business.
No what?
No business.
No business. Not even a 1% can just at least something can I get out of it for me?
We can reduce the percentage. We can write 100% for us, but we can start reducing.
Now you're talking negotiating price. Okay, you say nothing, I say 10%. Okay, 5%. And then Krishna will say, okay. And so you don't want 6%? Whatever you want. But it's not trickery, it's his kindness. He appreciates how this devotee has done so much for me, and this is what he wants, let me give it to him. But this is a whole other topic, how Krishna satisfies the desires, but when it comes to the Braja Gopis, there's such incredible conversation between the Gopis and Krishna in the 32nd chapter of 10th canto. And finally Krishna says, you've defeated me. I remain forever in your debt. I can't repay you. I can't reciprocate with you. So just imagine the quality of their love. And Krishna gives the reason that you've given up everything for me. You've given up your parents. You've given up your husbands. You've given up your children. You've given up your reputation. You've given up your hope for next life, future. You've given up everything for me. And I still love my parents. Krishna says, and I still love my brother, and I still love him. So therefore, I can't reciprocate with you in an equal way. So their love is, they don't want anything except to please Krishna.
Does surrender has a limit?
Theirs or ours? Well, that's...
What do you mean theirs?
Theirs meaning the gopis? No, there wasn't any limit.
Like, it's a general thing. Like, I guess we don't know, like, how much Krishna wants us to surrender. So we always check to the higher authorities, like, till it reached maybe to the gopis, or maybe gopis are comparing themselves with someone. It's like, we are not, like gopis say, that we are not we're trying to be your lover, like devoted lovers, but we are unable, this, that. Like, there is all conversation like that.
Because we're still alive when you're gone.
So there is always a next.
But that's the humility, really.
So that's what the question.
It's the nature.
Has a limit, or it's just unlimited?
Does love have a limit?
No.
Well, maybe that depends on the
Receptacle.
yeah, receptacle. Like, maybe Lord says, okay, like, I'm satisfied with your love, so that makes a value now, like, stock level something.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But what Chaitanya Caritamrita describes in the 4th chapter of Adi Lila is that there's an endless competition between the devotee and the Lord. That's endless, like, because they're thinking, the gopis are thinking, that I want to do this to please Krishna. I don't care for anything else. And no matter what they're doing, whatever it looks like externally, whether they're dressing, looking in the mirror and everything, because usually if we look in the mirror, we're trying to make ourselves beautiful for us. But whatever they're doing just for Krishna's pleasure. So when Krishna sees their beauty that they've done for him, he becomes so happy. And then when the gopis see his happiness, they become more beautiful and more happy. So when they become more beautiful, he becomes more happy. And so and that makes them more happy. So according to Kaviraj Goswami, it's unlimited, not limited, because Krishna is unlimited, so he can become unlimitedly happy and unlimitedly reciprocate. But the nature of the gopis' love was that he feels himself defeated, and therefore he wants to come as Mahaprabhu. So there's also said by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, when Uddhava comes, there's other descriptions of this too, but when Uddhava comes back from Vrindavan, after he was there for, 3 months or 6 months or something, so he gives his report to Krishna. When Krishna hears of the gopis' love for him, at that point he says, I can't even comprehend this from the position of the Visaya, from the position of the object of the love. What are they seeing in me? What's their experience? How glorious is their love? How pure and glorious it is. The only way I can find out is by taking the position of the Ashraya. And then so it says at that time he decided, Vishwanath says that. So when we ask is the surrender, is there a limit? It doesn't seem to be limited by either from the point of view of the devotee or the Lord. So asking, in one sense, what's it like for the gopis to be so much in love? It's easy to understand what their consciousness is as easy as it's as easy to understand their consciousness is as easy as it is to understand Krishna's consciousness, which we can't do. It's out of this world. It's out of the world of the finite. Out of the world, finite means limited. What do you think? Okay, take 4%.
As you told now, that if we hear from the pure devotee, and it will automatically works. If we hear, and by hearing that, our desires will start.
That's the process. That's what we're trying to hear.
Happen first day. We have to be regularly here and faith on the prophet and the person is most important.
Just one thing.
Yeah.
Being a sadhaka, like you said all this between the gopis and Krishna, like this, they are doing for him and he's being happy for him.
And then doing it for them.
So it's a just endless reciprocation is going on. So what being a sadhaka, what he has to do?
The sadhaka,
Yeah.
he follows and tries his best, and Krishna will reciprocate even with the sadhaka.
He does?
Yeah. I can't give the exact reference, but yes, I've read that from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. That's Yayatam Mahaprabhu. He reciprocates with the demons. Why not with the sadhakas? Like an atheist. It's so interesting that how the atheistic scientists, they have atheistic mind and they see God nowhere. That's Krishna's reciprocation. He actually describes this in the 11th canto. I could show you some references. He says that the vision that some philosophers count this so many elements, some philosophers count these number of elements, and they have this opinion. I'm giving them those opinions. I'm supporting their opinions. I'm giving them that vision. So if he's doing that with the atheists, why wouldn't he do that with the sadhakas? He's giving them what they want. So what does the sadhaka want? Well, that's what we want to do. We want to increase our desire. Sadhaka wants something that he's not yet qualified for. So if he actually tries his best and follows the system that's been given from Krishna, given by Krishna, then and his desires should increase. I recently was listening to, or either I was reading, I think maybe reading, when Prabhupada started giving the Sandhya mantras. Well, we'd say Gayatri mantras, but the Sandhya mantras. And then he said, then they'll make rapid advancement. It was so interesting that his faith was so pure. But yet, as you were saying, is the giving, but then how to take it so you actually do make advancement. They're like meditations, and how to stop the mind from just taking the opportunity to tour the universe, or saying mantra and then waking up 20 minutes later or something like that. So much depends on the purity of our heart also. How we reciprocate with Krishna, who's kindly appearing to us in these different forms. The form of our life. All the different experiences of our life. If one has a particular vision, one will say, oh, Krishna is appearing to me in this way. And that was the basic instruction, that one of the instructions that Krishna gave the gopis to Uddhava. I'm in everything. There's no question of separation. And the gopis thought, what is he trying to tell us? How to remember him? That's not our problem. Remembering him isn't our problem. Forgetting him is our problem. We can't get him out of our mind. So when Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, after this, so it's like a conclusive statement for this part, because it's interesting. Every day we've been reading parts, and each part is a part of the flow of what Kaviraj Goswami is teaching us and Mahaprabhu is teaching us. But each part has its own lessons in it. So the lesson that we just got was, one has to learn about the beauty and transcendental position of the holy name of the Lord by hearing the revealed scriptures. Krishna Namera Mahima Shastra Sadhu Mukhe Jani. From the mouth of devotees. Nowhere else can we hear of the sweetness of the Lord's holy name. And then immediately, thus Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu embraced Haridas and Rupa Goswami and left for the seaside to perform his new time duties. So it's like if you're watching a drama, just the curtain just closed, and the end of this scene in the drama. And we're meant to learn the message that Rupa Goswami, that Mahaprabhu is underlining, that the holy names of Krishna is actually there in the holy names, but it depends on the quality of the chanter, like that verse, Janmaswarya Sutta Sri Bireda Manamanapamam. Prabhupada's purport to that. Have you read that purport of Prabhupada's to that? Do you remember it? It's very, that the holy names, it's there, Krishna is there, but there's also a quality of the chanting. And you're saying a person, you can't call out to Krishna with feeling unless you're actually a kinchana, unless you're really attached to him and not to the world grows so subtle. So we have 2 more minutes. Any last questions? You had your phone call? Successful, sort of? Any comments or questions? Chaitanya Caritamrita is nice, isn't it? It's got, and these dealings between Mahaprabhu and his devotees. Just imagine See, we're following Rupa Goswami. Just imagine to follow to that degree where we have that experience of the holy names. So we can pray to Rupa Goswami.
But we can't understand it by own. If we read Chaitanya Caritamrita by own, we can't understand it. It's deep.
But you're deep.
Oh. Like you are clarifying all the small points from that.
I'm just...
And you are telling your experiences also with Srila Prabhupada, and what Prabhupada is telling. It's more important.
Yeah.
This is one theoretical, then practical, then implementations, all things are going.
And then the question is how to implement it. And that's where the real challenge is, isn't it? But by hearing, the desires increase.
By having a small association with the devotees who are implementing their lives with that.
Well, that's you all. No. We're all...
I didn't have a dream to come to Braj. I never had a dream. And if someone asked me to just go to Vrindavan, I said, no, I go there. But
you got the mercy of Vrindavan.
No, not the
Yeah, Vrindavan Lord. That's what I was saying.
Once,
Don't say it on camera at least.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was doing it to me. No, I was just passing it to you.
Once a day, he called me, that, where are you? I thought, I'm in Vrindavan. That Prabhupada disappeared a few years back. And he said, I want you to meet Bhurijana Maharaj. I said, it was my dream to meet him. And he let me introduce to you and said that he is a person, he can do something for our retreat center. And then you accepted me also.
Well, how could I not?
And I'm here for the whole.
But you know how I told you so many times. You better turn the camera off. We'll drive everyone crazy.